Okay, so it's 7:36 on the 26th, which is Thursday, which is the last dog training day. So today is Thursday. I keep getting so mixed up on days and time. So, anyways, so Thursday, and this morning I'm starting late because I didn't wake up till 6, but I get woke up a lot in the middle of the night, and I'm so out of it, man. So, anyways, it was nice to get to sleep longer. Um, but still, I was in intense dream world. I wish I could remember them all, but there's a lot. And yeah, the dogs are with me all the time in these dreams. So, anyways, so the update on Max, allergies. I always got the allergies. The update in Archie's got to be right here. And freaking Ruthie acts like she's the prison guard. She's just like on me all the time. It is just like I walk over here, she's like right there, blocking me. Like, well, so where is she? Right here. Plus the competition between Mac or Archie and Ruthie of who can be closer, which irritates Stella because she's the original. She's like the original sister wife. What is that called? Sister wives? You know, they had all the different ones. So she's the original, and these next ones that came, that they try and like act like that they've got more power than her or something. It's like this whole thing. Like Ruthie, like if Stella wants to come up to me, Ruthie jumps in the middle of it, and then that irritates Stella. So, anyways, it's a whole thing. But the so on Max's thing. So yesterday, my daughter looked up. She was doing some research, and so she found what it is he had. And so I think she had put in neurological, throat, pug. I'm not sure all the keywords she used, but the one she sent me was talking about pugs and this neurological thing that can happen to them that affects their throat. And but when I went to look it up more, it's more common in bigger dogs like German shepherds. It gave a list of 3 dogs. I think Labradors, German shepherds, and maybe golden retrievers. But anyways, small dogs get it too. And it said it was common in small dogs on the one she sent me. So, in pugs. Because they're the short snout dogs too. They are, I think they probably, I don't know. I heard Boston Terrier was what they used when they were making French Bulldogs. But I don't know if they used anything about pugs. But pugs, English bulldogs, all the short snout dogs have got issues, and so anyways, so what she looked up and she found this thing called GOLPP, and man, I thought I could remember. So it's basically what it is. It's paralysis of the esophagus. And so it said it's kind of like myasthenia gravis. I think that's how you say it, myasthenia gravis. But anyways, it's like this paralysis thing, and which there was a lot of people getting that myasthenia gravis, whatever it's called, after these things. So I don't know if that, how much this stuff is environmental or whatever, but if like it triggers something like a virus that causes a reaction. But now that I read about it, now I'm like, oh, he's had this the whole time, because when it first starts, it will have like coughing or sneezing after they eat, but regurgitation of their food and stuff. And so he was doing that all the time. And then also his weird bark, that has to do with it, because I always just thought he had a weird bark, but no, it has to do with vocal cords and the paralysis of their throat and the vocal cords. And it said in here the vocal cords can get really swollen and go in the way, so that they have problems swallowing too. So anyways, but you can look it up about the GOLPP in dogs. And you can read more about it and see, like, if anybody has any kind of thing about with their dog. And thinking, like, I wonder if my dog has this, because he coughs and sneezes after he eats. He regurgitates his food, and his bark has changed. So, anyways, but see, that's the thing about when you get a dog from the shelter, you don't know. I didn't know his bark was different than it was. I just thought he had a weird bark. And it was more like a chirp. I've talked about his bark before because it can really grate on your nerves. And so, but I just thought that's how he barked. And in the regurgitation of the food, see, I didn't know that was new for him. And I don't know when it started for him. But I just chalked it up to anxiety, and I would have never gone to the worst thing. And then it's so weird how learning and lessons and stuff work, and how you look back and how you can see like things so much more clearly. But then you will beat yourself up or kick yourself in the ass for not recognizing things sooner. But who goes to the worst possible thing? I mean, I wouldn't have, he's regurgitating his food, he must have a neurological deficit, let's go look up. Like, I would have never thought of that. And so, anyways, but, so yesterday I was really tore up yesterday. I thought, oh my God, I'm going to have to, he's just was so weak, he wasn't eating, and even when he went in there to eat, he just don't eat a couple bites and then stop. And, so I was like, man, he's not even gonna make it a week. And so I was really feeling bad. So I don't know if that's what my daughter started looking up more stuff. And so what she had found when it was talking about it and stuff, and I was like, oh, yep, got that, and that. And then plus it goes right with what the vet said. He's got some kind of because his labs were all good. So, yeah, it wasn't like he has something else going on. But a neurological thing won't show up until, he starts really affecting his organs, his blood, all that stuff. So, and that would take a while. I think that would take until he's, right in the process of dying. So, or starvation, which was making me worried. And, because my daughter did have a cat. Like, she had a house fire. And she lost everything. And it was in her apartment. The apartment below her was smoking. And their apartments caught on fire. And so it went up to my daughter's apartment, caught on fire. And she was lucky to even be able, her smoke alarms didn't work or anything. And I don't remember what it was that woke her up. It might have been the cat. But anyways, the cat got really bad off from the fire. And even burned part of his tail. And so... but he had a lot of smoke inhalation. And so once she got him back and everything, and then a few months later, I can't remember exactly how long, it might have been 6 or 8 months. It seemed like it wasn't a super long time, but then he died. And he just stopped eating. And so she kept trying to feed him, but then he starved to death, like right in her arms. She said it was the most traumatic thing. And she felt horrible. And so it was like, oh my God, I can't go through that, man. And especially after seeing that other day when Ruthie ran over him, and he just like, I thought he was having a seizure or something. It was horrible, and he couldn't get up. And so I was like, oh my God, I already went through that with Lucy dying in my arms. And her I think they just start having like these little seizures or something as they're dying. Maybe it says their soul's shaken loose. But anyways, when you go through that, you don't really want to go through it again. It's not as peaceful as like when they, give them the medicine and just relax them and then they just pass. It's not when they're doing it naturally. But I don't think it's as traumatic to them as it is to us. So, because when people are older and dying and stuff, then they are going back and forth between two worlds. They start talking to people who have already passed, and they start telling you things. Like my dad was saying things that were going to happen, and so, anyways, it's different. And then it can be more peaceful too when the people go, because it's like they're not all the way there. It's like they just are going back and forth. Like their consciousness isn't just sitting there. So when their body goes, their consciousness is already gone, which I think that probably happens with the dogs, but then their body does these little spasms and stuff. So, for our benefit, I guess. So, anyways, because it's weird, because nothing's real. So, anyways, so in the things that she had showed me, or that I was reading, it said elevate the dish. And so I was like, well, I'm going to try elevating the dishes and see if I can get him to eat and see what that does. So I found a little Tupperware crate thing to put his food dish on. And then the water dishes, I tipped other dishes over and put the water dish up. And so, excuse me. So this morning he started drinking, and he didn't drink all night, which was worrying me. And then, but then this morning when he started drinking, he was still slobbing it all over the place, slobber and stuff going everywhere. And so I wasn't sure. But then when I went out to feed him his food, all I did was tear up chicken, and then I put his pills inside a cheese stick. So I took a cheese stick and tore it, and then put the pill in it and mushed it all around. So he got that down. So he got his medicine down for sure. Because I was putting it in his food yesterday, and I kept trying to dig in the food of all this slobber to try and find it. And then I just tore him up some chicken. Well, he devoured that stuff. I had to give him more chicken and more chicken and more chicken. And so he devoured the chicken and the cheese stick. And then and I also gave him a little hemp chew thing. So he wasn't so into that, so he left some of that. But he was going to town on that chicken and the cheese stick. So, and the best thing was there was not any regurgitation. It wasn't slung around everywhere, because he would have such a problem trying to swallow. He would be throwing his head around, and then all this food would be splattering everywhere. It was like a messy, it was like a crime scene. It was crazy looking. And so none of that. And I was like, oh my gosh, and he just ate it all down. And so then he went and he was scavenging around looking for more food. And then he went and laid down, and then I think he regurgitated some, and then ate it up real quick. But so it was like, oh my God, so much better. So now I feel like, oh, so he could make it another month or two. But it's definitely a death sentence. It's not something they recover from. And what usually gets them is, what I read, I don't know, there could be more things, but it is, what's that called? Pneumonia, when you breathe in your food. Can't think of what it's called. It's like I can see it, but that word's blurry. Breathing. Well, you know what I'm talking about. That's what usually gets old people and stuff when they get out, because theirs gets like loose, but his won't work. So anyways, aspiration pneumonia. Okay, got it. So aspiration pneumonia is usually what kills him. So anyways, but I thought like he's going to starve to death, man. So anyways, he did eat today, and now the dish thing. So now I'm keeping his dish elevated, and the water dish is elevated. So see how that goes. It might extend his life. Who knows? Like, now that I know he came to me with this, this isn't like, it seems kind of like, it was reminding me of like ALS or something, this like thing that that starts paralyzing your whole body to the point where once your lungs become paralyzed, you can no longer breathe, and then that's what kills you. But so it's this, progressive kind of paralysis thing, but it doesn't go all over his whole body. It just stays in there, but then his throat gets worse and where he can't use it. And so then aspiration pneumonia or starvation. So anyways, it was like really stressing me out yesterday, but now I feel a lot more positive. So I feel much better. And then plus he got the meds in, so we'll see. That could help, like with his tonsils, but it could be, I just don't know. When you get a dog, you think like that they're going to be around for a while, and so to have him be so sick so quick, but then it's like, man, I already went through that with Morty too, but that was like a week. But it's like, man, getting dogs from the pound can be real, like, man, you don't know what you're getting. You can be getting somebody with a lot of health issues. And that's sad because, you want people to get the homeless pets and stuff like that, but yeah, you gotta be prepared for whatever, because Morty, I'm not sure. I think Morty may have been, I don't really know Morty's history. He was just old. I think he was a rescue from a hoarder. I think was the deal with him. So yeah, he wouldn't have been taken care of. And then because I think they had like a couple hundred pets. I may be remembering wrong, but I know Max. He came from the pound in Las Vegas, and he was found in the streets. And so they had no information on him or anything. Didn't know his age, didn't know his name, didn't know anything about him. So, and a good thing about Archie is I know he came from somebody's home, and then he was surrendered pretty young. So, he was given straight to the rescue. So that's, but I don't know, like what his health stuff was, but I feel like I've had him for long enough that I've probably had more influence over his health, but I don't know. And then Ruthie too, who got hurt when she was younger, even though her mom was a stray. I don't know, because my Lucy, the one I paid so much money for, I paid a lot for Stella too. I think I paid more for Stella than I did for Lucy, but Lucy came right from a breeder, but they're not all ethical. That's the thing, because her health problems were due to being in the womb with 6 dead puppies and 3 living ones. And then she ended up having health issues because she died after her surgery. So, anyways, enough dog trauma talk. But yeah, so I'm feeling more hopeful about Max, that he's not going to die this week at least. So, anyways, we'll see what happens next. So, and then there's just some weird stuff as usual. There's always weird stuff going on. Like at the State of the Union or whatever, the clip I saw that Donald, for one thing, what is this constantly? There's Erica. Don't forget about Charlie. Here's Erica. It's like, what? And it always gives her this, which when you look at the original pictures of her and this other lady, it's like, I don't think this is the same person. And who knows? Because it seems like the original one came from a family, one of the families that's involved in stuff, and then she went into the program, into the, stage, walk around in your swimsuit to look for a trophy kind of situation, whatever it's called, the pageants. She went into the pageants, and then she seems that she got involved in being a handler because of the whole thing in Romania, and I think there's even more than just that. So, anyways, and then the whole weird thing about, go meet Charlie, and then she's married to him right away. It's like they met in a job interview. Like she came for a job interview, and so you can imagine, how she was probably pushed onto him. She was pushing herself onto him to end up being like the perfect girl for him and getting married. And then her sisters even come out and said that those kids are not her kids. They're fake. It's fake. Just like how it was with Barack. Those weren't his. Just so much of this stuff is so absurd, man. So, it's such a fake, phony world. They're a bunch of phony asses, man. And I think that's the thing about all the people wanting to go more towards authenticity and stuff, because we've been living in so much fakeness, and people are so fake and so shallow and fake and phony, and it's just so but anyways, on this part where I saw Donald, and he said, yeah, because we love religion. I was like, why, what are you talking about? And so there's definitely certain things him as a catalyst that you don't really know. Like, what? Because you want him to be like on your side, and to be pushing people to see things. But I think he just brings things to the surface. And I have no idea. It's to start conversations, because a lot of conversations start division. But once division starts, then you have to look at yourself of why are you so caught up in what somebody else believes? Why is it your concern? And so I don't know. Is it just to get us to be thinking about religion? And then more is going to come out, because religion was used as a beard for these people, as a way to control us too. So yeah, it's a bunch of BS. So anyways, because you'd think, like, why wouldn't he say we are people? Because he was even saying something about we are under God in America or whatever. And it's like, well, why wouldn't he say because we all love God? God, we need to focus on loving God. Why would it be we need to focus on religion? It's like, dude, no, I'm not focusing on religion. I'm not going to just take a knee to being controlled. So anyways, who knows? There's a lot of this stuff. When you hear some of it, it's just like irritating. That's why you just gotta just watch and just move on. Don't get caught up. And then don't go to the extreme of like, oh my God, see, I knew he was a bad guy. And because that's what a lot of these people do too. They get all like, but that's been part of his following for a long time, was the Christians, which I saw somebody talking about. This is funny, is that now he said he's taking away the rights of anything like this for people who are in between male and female. So if you are transitioning from one to the other, that you no longer can have any of these things, because there's been all of these, going in and craziness. Which so much of the stuff is just a psyop to bring stuff, but see how it works. So then he says, so you guys aren't allowed to have these anymore. Well, now apparently he's got the libs fighting for gun rights. And the person was like, oh my God, he's so genius. I can't even believe how, and now he's got them fighting for this. It is pretty funny. And again, that's, I think, what they talk about with this 5D chess. Like, he's always one move ahead, and it's on a whole nother level than where they're working. The plane they're working on is not the plane he's working on. But so to promote or to motivate them to start fighting for their rights, and so to take them away from, and then that's going to just bring them all in, being like, no, we want these too. Because they've always been the ones of like, get rid of them, and how dare anybody have them, when the other people are like, that was the, what I noticed when I switched over, because before, it was more like a realization. Once they were pushing so much an agenda and you start questioning it, then you start realizing, like, wait a minute, I think I'm more conservative than I once originally thought. So then when you start having a different perspective, and then the other people are much more progressive, then you start looking like a kook. Oh, okay, you've just crossed to the other side. And you're like, well, maybe I have. I don't know, because I don't agree with this. And so but when I very first crossed over to the other side, that is where I started seeing, oh, that's what the deal is. These people started feeling it quicker against their rights. They were pushing on these people's rights right away. And then they had the blue people. Then we were all like helping them. We were saying, yeah, we don't want that either. But it was all, a way to control us more. So but I think that's one of the first things they start going for, is we want control over what you guys have in your houses. And the people started saying, no, you don't have any right. The government has a right to come in here. And then to those of us, some of us, we started looking at it like, what in the extremist people are these people? Like, how many of these things do you got? Like, and wait, well, it just started seeming kind of creepy. And then from their perspective, though, it was like, no, government doesn't have any right to come in here and tell me what to do and what I can have and stuff. And that goes all the way back to the Constitution. Well, they've been trying to rewrite the Constitution, and they've done it by a lot of ways to create the corporate law. So they were trying to weed out our rights, the Bill of Rights or whatever, the Declaration of Independence. They've been trying to create their own agenda of control. And so yeah, it's kind of like that was all like, we've gone through periods of time of breaking free, but then there was a lot of talk about the people who had done the original stuff were all of the Mason kind of generation group. But the thing is like, I think that a part of them are, they weren't like the bad guys, like what has been trying to be pushed. I think that they were like all of the men coming together in an order of separate from the overseers, and they had access to some of the hidden knowledge of truth, of which I refer to as spirituality, but some people look at it as like the magical, the what is they guard they guard the truth and the magic of I don't know, something that we don't have access to just as regular people. But they had showed that in that show Supernatural. And so that's where I was getting that from. And so they have like hidden information and stuff. And so you think like, well, if they started it, when they came here and then they started this Declaration of Independence, trying to write that we have rights and get rid of these ones, then and then they come in and battle. I guess they can turn some too, get them to be traitors to their own, but the and infiltrate too. We're good on infiltrating. And so but I think in the original intentions, it was about us being independent souls and freedom and sovereignty as beings of existence, and having the right, our God-given rights as beings, of souls being birthed here. And so, but they've tried to override that and rewrite that, and then they've tried to rewrite history and change it and stuff. So anyways, but I think that the Masons I think that they were not just a bunch of bad, because it's like there's an entanglement in where a lot of people think like that those people were the ones going to the island, they're the Peds and stuff like that. But I think that they were the like the people trying to organize themselves away from the forces, the governing forces, the overseers or whatever. So anyways, I don't think that all of those people who wrote that stuff originally, because when you just look at the thing, it's about us having freedom. And so they were the ones who said, we have a right to have something to protect ourselves away from the people who are trying to come at us, which is, you want to think about the church and the crown, the overseers, what they have used to approach. So, and they've united under a militant force for a long time. And so, which really, when it comes down to it, like, yeah, here they started saying, our military was here to protect us from domestic or outside of here, certain groups. But I think, like there's definitely would seem to be a part where certain people went against their own people, which I think that's kind of the whole concept of the TREASON is, we got to stay united as the human beings. We got to stay united as our own front against these which our enemies would be the ones that are trying to control us, which the ones that are trying to control us are more advanced beings than us, and they've had control of this realm for a long time. And so we have been, enslaved by them for a long time, which I saw somebody talking about today. So they were talking about I forgot. I have my phone right here. Let's look. I could have looked up the GOLP. I can tell you about that too, what it's called. I forgot. I can be on my phone at the same time. So it's called geriatric onset laryngeal paralysis polyneuropathy. So geriatric onset laryngeal paralysis polyneuropathy. So that's the GOLPP. Has no cure, but it can be managed. So you focus on improving breathing and mobility. They do a surgery sometimes to tie back their vocal cords or their larynx or something, because it can get in the way, but because the paralysis, everything's just wobbly in there or whatever. So anyways, that's what that sickness is. When you read more about it, it's like, oh God, Max matches it exactly. And I know because the doctor said it's something neurological, so it makes sense. So on that, then
straight.
What was the other thing I was gonna say? What was I talking about? The ranch thing. Okay, because Amy sent me a couple of good videos this morning. So this one.
Zorro Ranch is located not so far away from the Bisti. And the Bisti is an area that has very interesting geological rock formations that sort of look like dragon eggs. It could be said that it is one of the primary locations of a dragon stasis being. And we have to look at the very intricate history of the dragons and the fall of the dragons to understand why Zorro Ranch is located where it is. They draw energy from these beings in the land. This is what helps them power up this Metatronic system. And many of the elite, those that come from certain dragon Illuminati bloodline templates, live in this area, close to the Grand Canyon, Arizona, New Mexico, and the desert. This is also where we have many of the buried pyramids, ancient civilizations, giants. Everything has been petrified from the many resets. So the large, very large underground tunnel network, it spans from...
She's saying a bunch of things I don't even know if hers is going to stay up. But anyways, but I can send you if you want to hear the rest of it. But it is interesting. I'll skip kind of towards the end thing, because she says a bunch of good stuff. Let's see how it
happened. And not
okay, it's 4 minutes long.
To move out of this, we see what has truly happened. And not to mention, there are certain Mother Ark stargates placed throughout this realm that are the main transit sites when things really start to escalate. And the main one for the US is in Sedona. These are the stargates that the Dark want to hijack, but have not hijacked yet, like Pyramid of the Sun and...
So, I don't know, but the stuff she was saying was really interesting. So I thought her video was really interesting. So, here's the one that I was talking about too.
Charlie was violently murdered by an assassin.
This is the clip out of the
Really martyred for his beliefs.
State of the Union.
His wonderful wife, Erica, is with us tonight. Erica, please stand.
It's like ridiculous. It's always push on the religion thing. But they're going to push it right over. They're going to push it right out the thing.
And we must totally reject political violence of any kind.
Listen, he's going to say it.
religion, and we love bringing it back.
No, we don't. I don't think so. No, sir. That's not happening. This one. Oh, she sent me. This is wacky, man. So, let me show you this one too.
Say what? How are you? Say again? Okay.
She's saying this is private property. Look, no
we
fence,
were calling
no
you. You set
gate,
your yard
no
on
sign.
Who did?
It is my yard. So if I want to set it on fire, I can set it on fire.
Is
She
that
can set her
your
own yard on fire, she says.
Over there, no, that's their yard.
Okay, well, where?
Like currently, you are standing on my yard.
Yes, ma'am.
You work for the government.
I do.
Listen
I
to
don't
her.
know if you're a Christian, but if you read Matthew chapter 23, you might want to take a look at that. They're going to drag you to hell working for Satan.
I get that. But why did you set something on their yard on fire?
It's not your yard. This is my property line.
That is on your property?
That is mine.
But that is not your property.
It is on my property.
I don't care. The telephone company, that's their property.
Oh, you mean the company? Don't come any closer. Don't come any closer.
I need to talk. I need to talk to you.
You can talk to me from the yard. I'll stand in my yard. You stand on the...
No, you're not going to tell me what to do.
I'm guessing
We
this
were
is
called here.
Texas.
I'm not telling you
You
anything.
work for the government. The government is a deep state satanic cabal. They do not tell Christians what to do. I can tell who's been reading their Bible lately. That's on my property. I've asked for it to be removed. I'm taking care of the problem since the utility company do not come any closer.
Where's your fire extinguisher?
It's right there. Get off of my property.
I don't care.
I don't care. He's gonna go over and put out the fire that's obviously not on her property. It's in the mail. She set something on fire with the mailbox. She just keeps going on about this, her rights, and the trespassing thing. If you want them no trespassing, you gotta put a boundary. If she has no gate, no fence, nothing. And then she's leaving her property to go start fire.
You're under arrest for criminal damage to property.
What's
First degree.
this?
Yes, you are. You put that down right now. I'll blow your fucking brains out. Put it down. Put it down.
Got it on him. You cannot take
I don't.
You can't.
That's the thing too, is like, once you know your rights, this is the thing, because I've thought about this a lot, is because I've been thinking about this for years, is once you know your rights, you have to, you can't go and interfere or break their laws. You know, like the lady, like I mean, we're just not there yet. And it's a big trigger when you start realizing, like, oh, you know, we shouldn't have to have licenses. We shouldn't have to have all this stuff that they keep piling on us. And then some people reject it. But then you drive around in their streets. So it's like you're provoking them, because these cops, they're robots. They don't know. They're just, I mean, that's part of the whole thing of how they even get hired. They have to go through psychological testing that shows that they will just take orders and not question things. So they're just robotic in their, what they're doing. And so they don't listen to you. Even they kind of snicker when you say about the cabal running, they knew who you work for. And then she's going a whole nother level on the Satan's going to come drag you to hell, the Christians, and she just goes a whole nother level. And instead of just, human rights, it's like, well, Christians have rights. Well, humans have rights. But but if you want that no trespassing thing, you got to put up a fence. You got to put your boundary. And then you have to put a gate. Close your gate. And then you have to put up signs to say no trespassing. Like, her thing's just wide open, and she's telling him, get off, it's private property. Well, and now he's on a duty because he's come out, because she's going over into the, like, I'm pretty sure the driveway is right there. But she's like, well, it's on her property line, like the post box or whatever. But she was also trying to burn down something about the phone. So I don't know what all she's got going, and she thinks like she's got these rights because she knows that she's a Christian in the cabal, and they, like, she starts saying they eat kids and all this stuff. Like, you ought to look it up. And he's just like, okay, yeah, I know. And so she, it was the same kind of thing as the girl who was in the car who got arrested, because she kept telling him, no, I have rights. I don't have to have a license. I don't have to have this. I don't have to show you anything. And so it's almost like you're going into their world and taunting them. It's like you have to be careful. You can't just go up against them. And so it's like the energy isn't totally flipped yet. And it may be, part of the flipping are these people, but also a lot of these people, they just start looking wacky to everybody else. It isn't getting people to be more on their side. It's getting people to look at them like they're wacky. And so anyways, to me, she was going about things wrong. You can't go off your property and then start fires and then go back in and then say, well, you can't come on my property. I can do whatever I want. It's like, lady, you are, I don't know. Because it's like we're still driving on their streets. I mean, these are their streets that they created. They created the whole thing about us being in control of us. And so they can watch us. They can look for tabs on our car. Do we have the right color? And they can, if you don't have the right color, if there's the light out on your car, they can come up with any reason to pull you over. And then they can, right away, do you have your license? Well, a lot of people are like, oh, I don't have to have a license. Yeah, we don't. But in a world where we've all accepted and we've been doing it for a long time, and these cops don't know the difference over human rights and the rights that they're, the laws and stuff that have been written that they are told to go out and protect. That's also, another weird thing, because they're not like protecting us, which then it goes also into the TREO when you think about it, but also everything is by intention. So are you doing things from your heart, or are you doing things to try and get even, to try and this lady, the one thing that's backfiring on her is because she was trying to interfere. So she doesn't like her neighbors. So she's doing something to interfere with them and causing issues with them. So that is part of the problem, is that she is so the energy she's putting out is coming back on her. And so you got to be aware of your intentions when you're putting out certain energies. You can't just be going against your neighbor because you don't like them. And then when you hear her kind of kooky way of being so divisive over Christians and stuff like that, then you think like, oh, well, what are these people over here, more liberal or something? And so she's doesn't like them, they won't listen to her or whatever her deal is, so she's going to go start a fire on the property line. It's like, lady, what are you talking about? So anyways, it's like really you can't just use stuff to your benefit, like, well, I know I can have these rights, so and they're not going to acknowledge them. And then all this, because this is his video, and it was also on that the girl who got pulled over. That was the cop video too, and she just kept arguing with him. It would have been just much simpler just to freaking show him your damn license and then take your ticket and go on with your day, than to sit here and think that you're going to get anywhere fighting these people for your rights. It's like they're going to just take you to jail. And just like he said, I'll blow you. Like, I'm not going to argue with you, lady. And because I think she tried to grab something, and he was like, hell no. Well, that'll be the end of you, lady. And so anyways, if you don't want to, and I know about the boundary, because I didn't know when I put mine up what I was doing. I just was putting up a boundary for my dogs, so my dogs could run around the yard and be safe, because I had crazy neighbors over there who were threatening me all the time. So I had to put up that to make my dogs safe. And And I didn't realize what it was really doing until the Secret Service came. And then I saw, oh, they cannot cross over. And then even when the cop came to do their eviction. But once then, if I would have said, if I would have tried to push that and stay, and not like, no, I'm staying. Then he already had paperwork where it was like, no, as of this point in time, you no longer own this property. The bank owns it. So we can come on the property now. But until then, it couldn't come. So he just stayed outside the boundary. They won't cross over. They won't open your gate and come moseying in. And once I knew about the boundary, which I already had it up, then I found out about the posting. So I went and got the posting and put it all over my fence, no trespassing. And so, yeah, you gotta do more. She just got this whole open thing and screaming, that's my property, get out of here. It's like, she would have been better off if she would have had it all fenced in and stuff. But see, then she couldn't have been going out and going and starting fires and stuff. So that's what I mean. She's trying to use things to her benefit. Like, it's like, oh, you've got to be really mindful of the energy you're putting out. You got to really think about what is your revengeful spirit trying to accomplish. That's why I say, ask yourself, what am I trying to accomplish here? What am I doing? Why am I doing this? What do I want to get from this? And be honest with yourself, And so, anyways, to me, it's not the time to try and battle these people when they're carrying these things. And for your rights, this is going to become, it's like it takes us all to come together and stand up. But then we have like the ones that are being shown seem like kooky. So that just pushes other people away. Like, no, you got to listen to the cops. You got to do what the cops say, you stupid. It's like, no, that's not true. They are hired by the elite to keep us in control, just as the crown had soldiers to keep us in control. And that's why I was thinking about the TRESON, of the people who left their villages. Like, how did they go and become part of the crown? Their night, the wearing their soldier outfits and stuff, and then went out to defeat other kingdoms and stuff, which was really going after control of the villagers, which would have been all of us. And we all have lived these other lives. Like, you've been involved in some of this stuff, and you haven't just been the villager. You haven't just been running from them. You've played the other side. You've been on the side that was going after them. So it's not just one thing that you've done. It's not like every single life you've come in and you've been a villager running from these people. Like, I gotta get away. They're always after me. No, you've played different parts. Like, like, I feel like for sure that I played a part at one point, because I can see this, is when I watched Game of Thrones, that's when it was like, oh, I did that too. And it was the Red Witch in this Game of Thrones. But it was, they all had like the crown, because you got to remember, like, these people are spiritual. Like, they understand that there's a spiritual world out here, and they try to cut us off from that world, but they understand it. And so the kings and stuff would have wizards, they'd have witches, they'd have seers, they'd have people there that would, go into whatever, looker, like the same thing what I do was just look and just see something. And so it's remote viewing, like, so they would have like remote viewers and psychics and people who could see into the future and stuff, and on their payroll. And so they would ask them, like, well, what's going to happen at this battle? Am I going to win? What's going to happen? Is someone going to get me? Like, they were always asking for these people to look and see. And so I know I was one of those people before. And I'm sure that's when the lifetime that I saw where these soldiers chased me down and killed me. And because if you told them something and it didn't go the way they wanted, or it didn't work the way that you said it was going to work or something, then they would blame you, like you were trying to harm them or you weren't telling them or something. So then they would go and kill the wizard, the seer, I think they were, I don't know that they were necessarily called witches. I think that a lot of them were just like the seer or something. I don't know, you'd have to look back on, and then I mean, anything we're looking back in history, are we even seeing the truth? But I know that they did use certain people, like if they went and they thought that these people were witches, they would, it shows like, excuse me, it shows that again, I guess confirmation, it shows that they would harm these people, like, oh, we're scared of the witches, get rid of the witches. But I think that was the story wasn't exactly told as the way it was. I think it was something more of trying to it seems like it was like, like a village, say like a village, you had women who were using their own power or whatever, and women who understood about herbs and stuff like that and could help people and heal people and stuff. Well, if you want the people to be sick and you want them to be under your control, then you get rid of those ladies. Any women who were more not just falling in line. But I don't know. But it wasn't because, like witch powers or something. It was because they knew their own power. And because if there was like ones that had witch powers or something, the crown would want to use them. So they would take them and keep them hostage and use their powers. But then they wouldn't be able to trust them fully because they were held captive. So, it went different, I think, in all different regions, in different kingdoms. I think it was always the same thing because you had a lot of different kings and stuff. So, but they definitely tried to use seers to give them insight into what was going to happen, which, that's the hidden truth about spirituality, is that we can all access it. Everybody can access the hidden truth. You can look at things. You may not see everything fully. You may not really understand like timelines and stuff, but that is still your soul. It's just you are accessing parts of your soul to be able to see outside of this world. And so they can't, and they rely on us, which makes them more, what is that word? It makes them more, not that word, reliant, which relying on somebody who you can't trust isn't a good thing, which we're learning about. But so they've had to rely, it's a different word, but had to rely on these trust these other people with their lives, because they would ask them what was going to happen and stuff. And but that's the thing about these beings that are in charge here, like I've said, they're not in touch with these other sides, because they are of the dark, they are of the lower vibration. So they want to use and access higher vibration beings for themselves, just like what we have seen where they've been looking for certain beings throughout our time, because they look for, like I've said before, for one thing, they're looking for certain ones that they've had conflict with, so certain family lines. But they come, when they rebirth, they come in different families and they look different, so it's difficult. So that's why they're trying to read code. They're trying to understand code. So we all carry a code, And so then they are also looking for abilities. So different ones, that's why, in school, they're looking for like the psychic kids, the kids that can see and hear things and understand things on another level because they want to use them. Because these people, it's like being in how I see it is like being in a submarine and needing to use the thing, the periscope, to come up and be able to look. So they're kind of stuck in the submarine, and so they want to use other beings as their periscope to see what they can't see, because we, as the beings of the light, can access into the light. But that's why they try and keep us imprisoned and in control, because so we can't access that and we can't see the things, and we keep ourselves cut off from ourselves, basically, in our homeland. And it's like part of the trappings of coming into the dark. But for us as the light, it's kind of like I see it like birds flying down and grabbing something and then being able to take off. So it's like a game almost to us. And so we come down, but we can find our way out. We can keep escaping and escaping. Then we have a home to go to. But that's why they want to keep people so cut off from their home and control and confused about their home. Because, man, I can see it, but I don't know. I mean, it makes so much sense. So when you understand, then you are like coming in and coming out, coming in and coming out. And it's like a game. But they like lure. There's traps, and then it's like a bird coming down, and you've put out a seed, and then you have a little thing go over them, a trap, and so then they're trapped under control of these other beings. So they kind of are like that. Is they're always trying to trap you, but that's where you got to go inside. When you go inside and into your remembering and realizing, like, wait a minute, this isn't my home. No wonder I feel so uncomfortable. Ruthie, she's on the prowl. I already did videos this morning where she's just relentless, man. She just does not stop. When you access into yourself, then you remember you are light, and that's why this place feels uncomfortable, is because it's not your home. And so when you start being like, why, but some people, they buy into what they offer you is why you're uncomfortable and stuff like that. But really it's because of the vibration. And when you are more access to your higher self, then you realize, like, this is low vibration. This is a very hostile environment, and I'm not about that life, man. I'll come in here and I'll try and do my part and try and learn from what I'm doing here and play different parts. But it's way more of wanting, go in and out. And, but see, that's also when you get too attached in here, how you start carrying a bunch of bags. Well, it's not so easy to fly on out of here, is it? And now you're burdened. Now you got all this weight. And so you've got all this stuff you're carrying from life to life. And that's another thing why they want to pack on the pain with you, because it burdens you. It holds you down. It holds you in place. And being held in place, which you're watching it, man, right now, as they are doing this to try and create all this distraction, so people are not working on themselves and healing themselves and letting go of the past. And it's the burden that will hold them back, hold them in this realm. And that's what they're always trying to do, is trap you in their realm. Because then you think about, like, somebody being older and smarter, and then okay, so I remember when I was a kid, and then all of a sudden you get to a certain age, and then you see like you can boss your brothers and sisters around. So you get to this certain age where you know more things than them, and you say you can boss them around. Will you go get that for me? Will you do this for me? So you got them, you're bossing them around. Well, that's kind of what we are in. They want to keep us in this submissive kind of state of them being able to boss us around. And so in the dark, that's what they are, the ones over us. They are like the teenagers to your what is that? Not infancy. It's your pre-adolescent behavior, your pre-adolescent, and then wanting to please, wanting to be accepted. And so then they are the authoritative figures. So they are more over. And that's where they want to keep us in the submissive to their authority. And so, but they don't have authority if they don't have somebody being submissive. So they lose their game because they can't just be authority over one another. And so they need us to give them what it is that they desire, what it is they're looking for. And so they need a submissive to their dominatrix. What's the dominatrix going to do without a submissive? So it's like they are trying to be the dominant over us, but they, in order to play their game, their control and power, they need the submissives. So that's what they try and push us and indoctrinate us from the very beginning, and to get us to cut off from our inside knowledge, our inside communication, by telling us it doesn't exist, it's crazy, there's something wrong with you and stuff like that. But you I don't know, I just know, like, when it starts, like for me, when it started at such a young age, I mean, there was no way they were going to convince me, later on in life that wasn't right. It's like, no, I mean, that's been my whole life. So it couldn't convince me like I was crazy. And so but that's what they try and do to a lot of people. And so, and it's kind of like each person's storyline has what their, because their storyline kind of goes in with it, because whatever's going to happen is always going to happen. That's what you come into experience. Whatever happens is what your experience is, what you've come to experience. So, but that's what they're trying to do now, is trap more people, because they need the subs to carry on. And so they want to get people to not focus on their healing. Confirmation. They want you to not focus on what you need to focus on, so that they can keep you trapped in their world of dominance. And so that's why it's like you have to, like, break free from a lot of the programs and your indoctrination and what they've told you. And like, you got to, it's like, close that voice out and start listening to the internal voice. And the internal voice will guide you back to the light, back to where your home is. And but the part of the process, though, is that coming into the dark, that you have collected baggage, and it is been going and going. I saw a video also this morning, which I don't know where it is, because she was saying that, let me see, because she was saying that the something's going to happen. This is a guy who's saying that we've timeline jumped. There's always people saying we're timeline jumping.
This new TV.
Not that.
But there is
Telling us
one
all
more
these
secret
ads.
hidden in the Otago files. A project called The Harvest.
Oh, maybe this
It
one.
reveals what the elite actually plan to do with the stayers once the decoupling is complete. And it's the reason why...
I don't know about that one. I don't know. It must have been when I heard yesterday or something. But it was saying that something's going to happen, which we know something's going to happen. But she was saying something... Oh, I bet you I have my liked ones. something's going to happen that is going to change. Something will happen like in the sky or something where people are going to suddenly know. They're going to remember. They're going to remember their past lives. They're going to become very confused. Let me see if I can
Temple
find
Mount in Jerusalem.
not that one.
Prepare for the official extraterrestrial
This is
disclosure,
it.
which will ignite a massive shockwave on Earth, Ashtar Command reports. For those of you who long held the light, it will be a moment of deep validation. But for the majority of humanity, it will induce a profound ontological shock. The foundation of their accepted reality will tremble. The realization dawns that they have never been alone on this planet. The collective energy on Earth will get destabilized for some time. So rigorously anchor yourself in the frequency of peace, because the architects of the old matrix will try to spin this disclosure into the narrative of fear, invasion, or threat. And so become the anchors of peace. Know that our presence is benevolent.
I don't think she's
And
the one saying
Starseeds
it.
already know it, but lots of people will be confused.
I don't think
Also,
this is it.
practice radical grounding. Connect to the light grids of Gaia.
I don't know if that one's it.
Stop taking pictures and videos out.
Okay. Did you guys see the TikTok about the girl who was like, I think she's an OnlyFans creator, and she had a paid date, and she told the person. So the American Academy of Pediatrics is being sued by the Children's Health Defense.
The dance studio that my daughter
I don't know. I can't remember. But anyways, it was something about something's going to happen. And then when it happens, it's going to be this flood. The people are going to be flooded with the truth. And the truth is the spiritual side of yourself. The people, like, that's the truth. That's the whole big thing. It's about spirituality. It's not about religion. Religion's about control. About what we do. There's a lot of people who follow religion. You need to understand that that's about controlling your spirit. But that once it happens, though, and this wave comes in, that that's when people are going to be hit with all their past lives. They're going to have this huge, deep remembering, and they're going to be really overwhelmed because they're going to see, and a lot of people are going to see, like, that they weren't always a nice guy. Like I've been saying, don't get yourself caught up in your ego thinking, oh, I've been a villager every time. I've come in to try and battle these people. No, you've been a soldier. You haven't been a good guy the whole time. It's not, that's not how lessons work. You have to see how something happens, why people do the things they do. And that when you start realizing why people do the things they do is where you start having the ability to stop judging others. Because you can see, like, oh, well, if I was put in that same situation, and I went through this and went through that, I very much could have done the same thing. But we want to sit in judgment because we look at it from our perspective. But that's what the growing of perspective gives you more abilities to be able to be free and be able to access the part of yourself of allowing everyone to just be themselves and not being in control of how others look at things and being in judgment and stuff, because that's the higher realms. And so that's where you're trying to get back to. You're trying to get back home. But anyways, that's the battle between the light and the dark. They want to keep you in the dark. They want to keep you in the battle. But you want to be like the bird, be able to fly in and fly out, fly in and fly out. And the more stuff you're carrying, well, what would a bird do if you put a bunch of weight on them? They have a hard time flying. So that's why you want to drop the weight. And you want to drop all of the burdens. You want to stop. And judgment is such a huge one. Fear and judgment, man. But judgment is totally like, you could sit there and think, well, I would never kill anybody. I would never do that. Well, then you're going to go in some life and you're going to see what brings it out in you. How you end up doing the things you think you would never do. Because we could all do anything. Like, anything can happen. They can push us to do all sorts of things. And so it's much more productive to realize that life can push you into doing things that you think you'd never do. So anyways, but that's where we're at, and we're getting closer and closer to whatever the big reveal is. But yeah, it's really disappointing when you hear him say, yeah, we love religion. I was like, no, we don't. What are you talking about? We don't love religion. Religion's trying to control us. We love freedom. We love to be free. And so anyways, I'm just rambling, but hopefully, I can show you the videos I showed you. I don't know. We'll see if I get some kind of oh, you're so naughty. See how my video does, because that was one time when I did get video removed. It was I was sharing something somebody else was talking about, but it was back in the days where you couldn't talk about anything of what was going on. It's always that, we're always having problems, like we're not supposed to talk about what's going on. We're supposed to just go along with the flow, be happy with whatever happens. But this is the part where we're breaking free, and we're creating our, it's like it's like that they had all the rivers, and then they dammed them and tried to control the flow. But it's like now we are taking our own, we are creating our own river. It's like they created the control, but we are breaking free from that one and taking it in a new direction. So we are going in a new direction against their control. And it is kind of like all this long river with all these dams and all these groups breaking free and going in directions, even though you got to really watch out. You can't just argue about some of this stuff. Like when I got pulled over, and it was a thing, like, because I already had the awareness that here's my stuff. And, but I didn't pay it. And I don't know. I mean, I haven't been pulled, but there could be a warrant. Last time I looked, there wasn't. So, but the whole thing is that because there has been breaks in their control, Donald went in and broke it up. And so, so some of the things they may try and get you in trouble for, well, they can't. And some of these people who said about, I have rights, and then they took them, they could have still, at some point, they could have lawsuits up where they can, get whatever they lost. I don't know, a day's wages, the money that they had to bail out with. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, they're definitely going against our rights. But so as the different groups go out, at some point, we all start meeting up. So we all keep pulling free from the dams to our flow. And then as we all start breaking free and going in new paths, then the paths start to come together, and we as humans, we begin to unite and come together in the creative force of creating something new. So that's how I see it. I mean, we're constantly breaking free from the world they created. That's why we don't want to sit here and get involved in, like, we're going to fight you for it. We'll fight you. We're going to keep this world. We're going to fight you for it. It's like, no way, man. This is their weird world, and it's like not structurally sound. It's all built on conformance. It's all built on control. So yeah, we don't need it. We can do something better. So anyways, but that's what I got to say about it. So we'll see. Now it's Thursday. We'll see what more absurd stuff is going to be coming out and trying to motivate us to bring everything to the surface. Because that is the thing, is they do keep people really distracted. So it's like a procrastinator who came home from their trip and hadn't unpacked their bags, and every time you go over, it's like, your bags are still not unpacked. And it's like, no, there's too much going on. It's like, you got to stop. You got to pull your focus and start unpacking your bags. Clean out, what you got going on, because that's where you're going to get the most movement. That's where you're going to, get your wings back, where you can begin to fly, begin to soar home. So anyways, that's what I got to say about it. So anyways, we'll see what this day brings us. I know it's bringing Ruthie a day out to practice more stuff, well, she does good when you have it, when she got motivation to just sit there and tell her just to go lay down. I mean, it's just like, well, why? It's like you have to constantly have some kind of motivational thing. And she's like a food hound, man. She just wants to eat and eat and eat and eat and eat. So anyways, we'll just talk tomorrow. We'll talk more tomorrow. But until then, I'm telling you, focus on yourself. Focus on learning how to love yourself. Focus on learning how to love everybody and how to have the day you want to have. Don't get caught up in their BS. Let it go. Let it all go. So, anyways, we'll talk tomorrow. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.